Welcome everyone to Nano's Indie Cafe show where we discuss and promote various indie games and help promote the indie community and give indie games exposure and help them grow and keep the project to succeed. We do this like Wednesday through Friday at 2 p.m. at twitch.tv/now here, and today's the second episode of our podcast segment. Today I have Karatkuro, who you may know as the great dev of critically acclaimed Xander the Monster Morpher. Welcome, man.
Hey, good to be here.
So, for people who don't know you that well, tell us a little bit more about who you are, the projects you know for, what you're working on, and all that stuff.
Hey, I'm Karatkuro, Jake Walker, and I've been doing indie dev for around 9 years now.
The
I
9 year,
started with
the 9 years. I didn't know you were doing it that long.
I started with gamemaker 8 when that first came out. I think it was late 2009,
Whoa.
December of then. And I did not want to be a game developer before that. I wanted to be a novelist. And my friend sent me a copy of Game Maker, and the rest was kinda history. I thought it was too complicated at first, so I put it down, but then about a month later, I came back to it, and I've been doing development almost every day since then. Now, the
So,
name Char
uh, continue with my bad.
Oh, no, it's fine. The name Karakuro is new, though. If you search Karakuro, you're only gonna get results from maybe the past year or 2. I've
So,
been on different teams for the past 10 years, and, this is my first time really trying to be solo.
what name did you go before that?
I had a lot under different teams. I think the first one was called Kronos Gaming, if I remember right.
Chronos
And
Gaming.
yeah, that was during the GM8 era, back when they had, you could post games onto Yo-Yo Games,
Oh yeah, they don't have that anymore.
Nope, not that I see anyway.
Oh.
Whenever I go on the website, all I see is their new products. So I don't think you can upload there anymore.
Because I remember going on Yo-Yo Games and seeing all the cool games people were making and stuff. I'm surprised that they don't have that anymore, because I feel like that's what got people interested in game maker. They would see all these cool games and be like, oh, I want to make a cool game like that. Let me download Game Maker.
Yeah, especially since back in the day we didn't have things like itch.io and Game Jolt. Maybe that's why they don't have it anymore, because you can put any kind of game on those. But with Game Maker's website, that was my first real back then. If you wanted to make an indie game, you were either using Flash and uploading to Newgrounds, or you had your own website. I remember Armor Games was really big back then. They had their own website. Uh, yeah, so the fact that they had a website where you could put your stuff up there, that really attracted me to the engine and it really just got me hooked and addicted right away. Even if I really didn't post that often, I think I might have only posted maybe a quarter of the games I made during that time up there, which makes me really sad because my old PC with all my old games got destroyed. So the
Oh,
only games that I have left are the ones that I posted, and that's not a lot of them.
well, yeah, it's crazy how, because even in more popular companies and devs, there's a lot of lost art that we may never see the light of day.
Yeah, the great indie era started a few years ago. So basically, anything before that is ancient history. You have to be an internet archaeologist to find a lot of the indie games that came before that, except if they were really big on Newgrounds, then maybe you could find it again.
Is a
but
new
I'd say 99% of indie games are gone.
is a Newgrounds still like popular? Do you think, or feel like a lot of people move away from Newgrounds, but I know that there's still people who like post on Newgrounds, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's still active, it's just not anywhere near what it used to be. Like, that was kind of the Wild West era of the internet.
Yeah.
You didn't really have anything like Newgrounds, and that's what just attracted everybody to it. Same thing with YouTube, you didn't really have anything like that where, you anybody could upload videos, with that kind of infrastructure.
Oh yeah,
And there was just so much in Newgrounds. There was animations, there was games, there was anything that you would have wanted at, like, 2006 internet. So, I just think that's something that we don't even have today. Like, we have a bunch of different websites for that. You can go
mhm,
on YouTube, you go on Dailymotion, you could go on itch.io, but you don't really have it all together anymore.
yeah. So, where are you from? Specifically, where did you like grow up?
I grew up on the East Coast of the United States. I grew up in Maryland. Don't go there. It smells terrible. Everything is brown and gray, and it is flat.
Yeah, yeah. I'm West Coast, so you know.
Somehow it always smells like a skunk, but I've only seen 2 skunks in my entire life. I don't
So,
know how it happens.
so what's like gaming like in the East Coast, specifically where you grow up? Did you like grow up with like a lot of games, or did like gaming happen later on in life?
Now, when I was a kid, I did have game consoles, sort of. We didn't grow up with a whole lot of money, so a lot of my stuff was used, and I got it really, really late. Like by the time I got a GameCube, the Wii was almost out. I think it was already announced at that point. And for a while, my only consoles were the Game Boy line of handhelds.
Why am I not?
So,
Why am I not surprised?
yep, the monster guy had a Game Boy and played on it all the time. Gee, I wonder.
What's the obsession with you and these monster catching games, man?
I wish I could give a solid answer for that, but it's one of those things where I don't even think those were really the first games that I played. The first games I played were Super Mario Brothers and Sonic at a friend's house.
Well,
Uh,
JRPGs were one of the like first games I played. I got them into when more into them when I was like 12 or 13 or something. So, but they're like my favorite like types of games. So,
yeah, the funny thing is, I didn't even get into JRPGs else than monster games until I was maybe 14 or 15. I think the first real JRPG that wasn't named Pokemon or Dragon Quest Monsters that I played was Dragon Fable, an indie game on browser. And I still play that to this day. It gets updated every week, and I love it.
what's that game like?
That game is one of my biggest inspirations as an indie dev,
Ooh.
despite the fact that I've never made a game like it. Like, I've never really had its design influences in my own games, but it is such an inspiration because these guys were like the OG indies in the original internet era. They started in 2002, and their games are usually episodic. They release them every single week. So I've been playing them for a long, long time.
So are they like popular? Because I've never like heard of them.
Yeah, they're called Artix Entertainment, and they were a lot more popular. I think they peaked around 2009 or 2010. And they have new games out now, but they're not quite as popular. It kind of makes me sad because it's like these guys were sort of the guys that I looked up to when I was a little kid,
Oh.
or not really a little kid, but like 14 or 15 when I first started getting into indie dev. I really looked up to these guys. But the indie apocalypse has been hitting them hard. And really, I think they could stand to update their design philosophy a little bit. As much as I love the new games, it is kind of stuck in 2002, as I hate to say it. But I still adore them, and I would. always wanted to make a game that's kind of in their style, where it's episodic and it's released every week. I probably wouldn't do every week because I
Yeah,
see how,
that's unless you
like,
get a team, it's probably not gonna happen.
yeah, if I were to do it, it would be maybe every month or so, because with Artix, he does have a big team, and they still barely get the games out every week. So I probably wouldn't follow that model to a T just because I have like 10 years of watching them do their thing and seeing the pitfalls that they've done so I can avoid them.
And and and,
And
and what's the name of this game again?
the name of the company is Artix Entertainment, and they make the Adventure Quest series. The first JRPG that I played was Dragon Fable, the
Oh, okay.
second in the Adventure Quest series. And still massive influence to this day. I think if you play Xander and you listen to some of the dialogue, or I guess read it because the voice acting is all,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. By the way, that's actually how I did the audio to that game. For each character, I
Oh,
would
yeah.
go like,
You did the voice acting, right?
yeah.
Did you do all the voice acting or just some of it?
All of it. A matter of fact, even some of the attacks are done by voice. Like some of the fireballs are like, and it's just edited in the audio and whatnot. Think like the egg shot that the little bird does in the beginning is something like for the rest, I just like hit things up against walls and like shook leaves around and stuff. But yeah, if you look at the dialogue in Xander, you'll see a lot of influence from Dragon Fable, and that's not on purpose. It's just the fact that I grew up with that. That's the kind of dialogue that I like. There's a lot of similarity there, the kind of it's funny most of the time, very punny, very memey, but, then when the serious stuff happens, the memes kinda go out the window, but, like,
Memes.
every now and again, you gotta bring it back, just to really break that tension.
I don't get this whole meme thing. I don't know. I feel like that old like grandpa. I don't get the kids with these memes. I don't know. I don't get memes. I'm not a big fan of memes. I know that's
Well,
I know that's very controversial to say as like a streamer.
yeah, I was about to say, you're on the internet and you're just like, "Man, I'm too old for these damn these internet memes."
I don't know. A lot of
Well, I mean,
times, I don't know. It gets tiring after a while, man.
yeah, the kids these days with their baby Yoda. But I mean, I understand what you mean, though. It is
Yeah,
really hard to keep up with it. And
yeah.
if you go on like dank memes on Reddit after being off for like a month or so, you'll have no idea what's going on. All of a sudden, Bugs Bunny's fat and he's called Big Chungus.
No,
Sure.
I don't have like a deep hatred. I don't want like okay, let's talk about content. Okay, so I don't want to like rely on memes for content. I feel like I'm better than that. Like I don't want my content to be focused on memes. So I kind of accidentally made one. It's not a popular meme, but like we do kind of have a running joke. So I was playing Arcade Spirits. I was like, "Ooh, this UI is cool," but I didn't say UI. I said UO. So King always asks me when I'm playing a game, "What's UO? How's the UO and stuff?" So yeah, so expect a UO emote one of these days.
I mean, that's just kind of how it happens. Something really random and stupid happens, and then all of a sudden the internet's just like, yeah, mine. I'm gonna not shut up about this for 3 months before I kill it after it goes to Hot Topic on a t-shirt.
So sometimes when I'm like posting up about a game on Twitter, I'll be like, "The UO's cool." I'm just waiting for the devs one of these days to be like, "What are you talking about?"
Do you mean the UI? No, no,
No,
no, the UO. I really, really like it.
yeah, I mean we treat the UO pretty seriously. Like it's so. So you played a lot of Pokemon as a kid, right?
A decent bit, an unhealthy bit, maybe a lot.
Okay, I'm not a Pokemon fan. Now, to be fair, I didn't grow up with the games. That's why I mostly grew up with like the animes. So I sure grew up with the games though. Like I had like a Game Boy Color. Like there was like no reason for me not. Like, Mom, why didn't you give me Pokemon? Like I don't like why. Like I didn't like play my first Pokemon game until I was like in middle school or high school, and it was like Pokemon Diamond.
Yeah, it's kind of how Jamie, the artist for a lot of the promotional material for Xander, that's kind of how she was. She did have Pokemon Yellow when she was a kid,
Mhm.
but she never played it. She really started with Diamond and Pearl. So she, whenever we talk about Pokemon, she's just like, you know, Gen 4 was really the best. That was the peak of the franchise. And then, being the old bastard that I am, I'm just like, no, Gen 2 was fantastic with its open world design. And she's just like, dude, I don't care. It looked like poop and there were only two colors on the screen at any time. And I'm just seething there like, I swear it was good. This isn't just nostalgia. I fucking love the 8 bits. Like, I don't know. We
Yeah.
always joke with each other about that.
So, what do you think of Pokemon Sword and Shield? Go ahead. I don't know if this is gonna be a hot take or not, but we'll find
I
out.
got I got stuck on the thing. Um.
You got
Okay.
you got some opinions. I can already sense it, man.
So the thing is, like, me not liking Sword and Shield isn't really a new thing when it comes to the franchise for me. I haven't liked the past few games.
Okay.
Well, actually, X and Y were all right, but like, I just think ever since, and this is the real hot take that I'm about to say
Oh
here.
God.
I don't know if anybody in the chat or listening to this video in the future is going to want to crucify me for this, but I think that the series started to go downhill in Gen 5.
Which one
I
is Gen 5?
Black and White on the DS, and I can hear the pitchforks already because the internet just loves Gen 5.
You didn't like X and Y? Isn't that another popular one?
I thought it was okay. I really don't hear people talk about it
Uh,
anymore. And I can kind of see that. There wasn't a whole lot to the game. That was when they really started to cut back on the post game because the director said that the battle frontier would be too difficult for new players, so he didn't want to include it anymore. So instead, he included the battle Maizen, whatever. I don't know. The battle facility that is from X and Y onward, just I'm not really a fan. There really wasn't a whole lot of post game to begin with, and the game had more to do with a linear narrative, a plot that had to do with the characters spouting loads and paragraphs of dialogue at your face, which is fine if the game's built for it. Like I play Dragon Fable. I said that before, and that game's a lot of text, but it's kind of built for it. All the characters have really rich personalities. It's really cartoony. There's a lot of animation, but starting with Black and White, you have these characters that don't have. You stick them in any other RPG, and they won't really shine. They're not complete cardboard, but they usually have like one note personalities. Like N, for example, he just wants to save the Pokemon and liberate them and whatnot, and
uh,
he's just this massive hippie.
have you
But
played have you played Pokemon Conquest?
no, actually, I was excited for it when it first came out. When it was announced as Pokemon Cross Nobunaga's Ambition, I looked at the title and I was just like, what?
Okay, so since we're on the topic of Pokemon, Detective Pikachu, go. The
I liked
movie,
it.
the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I liked it. It was just a fun, charming. Like I don't know. I just had a lot of fun with it. Like
Yeah, I thought it was great. Like, it wasn't perfect. A lot of people say that the main character didn't act well. I disagree. I
I
think he
liked his
acted
acting.
perfectly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I thought with how
And Ryan Reynolds did a good job as like Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, like I thought for how cartoony the whole premise was, it was
Mm.
very well executed. The Pokemon looked great. The
Oh yeah, it's just beautiful looking, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was a treat. That was actually one of the things that got me super excited for Sword and Shield when it was first announced and then the details came out. Like a lot of people say that like Dexit, that's the big reason why you don't like Sword and Shield. No, that's not the reason. It's more of the straw that broke the camel's back. I just thought that the quality of the games kind of went down over the
So
years and
I don't know. From what I've seen of Pokemon Sword and Shield, it looks cool. I like the like scope of like the environments and the like free roaming exploration.
yeah, the thing is the wild area, it or wild yeah, what the hell is it called? Wild area, I think. Those are something that I wish came in the series way before this. That is a very good idea, even if the implementation isn't great. Like it. It's just what it happens with the pacing because of it is you have these big adventure segments where you're traveling in this big kind of flat overworld area. Then you go to a town and you hit a wall with a bunch of dialogue. And then you like just slowly make your way through all of that, go back to the next wild area. Progress is stopped again, slowly make your way to the gym and whatnot. And it just kind of makes the pacing feel strange, like this real stop and go kind of jerk instead of a smooth curve. But I do like the addition of the wild areas, and I do like some of the things with the game are okay. Some of the new monsters look good, others but that's kind of with every game. You can't make that many monsters and have all of them appeal to everyone. So I'm not one of those people that's just like, anything past the original 151 is a Digimon. I'm not one of those
Hey,
people.
what are you dissing on Digimon for?
Oh, God, don't get me started on Digimon.
I'm a Digimon fan. Let's go, bro.
Okay. You're gonna get some hot takes here too. But you're also gonna get, I don't know, a normal take. Dawn and Dusk are my favorite Digimon games. Like the ones on the DS.
Have you played
Like
Cyber Sleuth?
that's what I was getting to, and that's what I was
It's
kind
a
of
good
afraid
game.
was.
It's what you. What are you dissing on Cyber Sleuth for?
See, the thing is, I like the basic combat system. It just kind of has the modern Pokemon problem of, oh my god, does anybody shut up? I also just wish that there was more than just Kowloon and like the little one screen dungeons in like the first half of the game. I like the second half of the game a lot
Okay.
more.
Okay,
Especially
I will admit the levels are kind of samely repetitive and stuff, but like the story and like the characters, like I don't know, I love it, man. Like, and okay, to give some context, I haven't played a whole lot of Digimon games. I mostly grew up with the Digimon anime, which is what people know Digimon mostly for. But
I mean, they are the champions.
so when I play Cyber Sleuth, like it's been years since I've seen the anime series and stuff. So like it was a big nostalgia boom, seeing all those like Digimon and evolving them and stuff. Like I don't know, I just got really engrossed into it because of that. So
Yeah, I did like the Digivolution system. That's also part of the reason why I liked the second half of the game a lot because you were just able to traverse the tree a lot, and I just loved doing that. That's probably the thing that I like most about Digimon as a concept is the fact that you don't have just like one or two evolutions on the dudes. You have like this big branching tree, and depending on what you dudes can be vastly different. I do really like that concept, and I think Cyber Sleuth actually did improve on the old Digimon World game in that respect. And I know I'm about to get for that take, I'm gonna be crucified by like the old school game fan. So I'm just not safe here.
okay, I have a Controversy. I don't like. I'm not a fan of Digimon War series. I said it. I said it. Okay. But
The
to
thing
be
is, I can actually see that.
but to be like fair, I've only played Next World. I didn't grow up with the older Digimon World, but even like playing Next World, which is probably pretty similar to the older ones, like I don't know, I couldn't get into it. I guess I split because this came out like after Cyber Sleuth, so I expected it to be similar. But I'm like, wait, I don't have like 6 Digimon. I only have like one or like two or something, and I have to do certain things for them to evolve a certain way. What is this stuff? Like, I don't get this. Like,
Yeah, there was your mistake right there.
yeah.
Every Digimon World game was vastly different from the other ones. There's a reason why I singled out Dawn and Dusk is because almost every other Digimon game is completely different. Like Digimon World 1 was more or less like I would probably compare it to something like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley. And Digimon World 2, what was that one like? It was like a really slow JRPG,
Okay,
but
do you want to know? Have you watched the Digimon like anime shows?
oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I've seen all of them except for Fusion or Cross Worlds or whatever.
you're good. So, we don't talk about. No, Crossroads like the first half is good. It's that like last half.
Yeah, it's what I heard.
Though it has some really, it has like one or two good moments with seeing like characters from previous Digimon seasons, but that doesn't save it. So, but
Save it.
but oh, but but what a Digimon game I would love to see is like a game version of like Frontier.
Yeah.
And that's the one where they are pretty much Power Rangers. They like morph into Digimon, Spirit Execution or whatever.
Yeah, you know I would be pretty into that.
Yeah, like making a game like that and like unlocking like different forms and transform like make it super open world and like make it hack and slashy and oh, it would be so good, man. Bandai, get on it. I think Bandai makes the Digimon games, right?
Yeah, Bandai, get on this 10-year-old anime series. You
No,
could
no,
do
it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be an adaptation of Frontier, but use Frontier's mechanics is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, like that would be dope, man. But like the Digimon game that's like coming out like next year, Digimon Survival. Oh my god, that looks dope, man.
Oh yeah, that looks really good.
Like just the story alone looks dope. Like
Yeah,
forget
like
gameplay, just like the tone they're going for. Like it reminds me of the Digimon Adventure 1 days where the kids were just stuck in the digital world and have to like survive on their own. Like it.
the original isekai. Thank you very much,
Yep.
Crunchyroll. Like that's
Actually,
probably one of the only.
you're kind of right. I never thought about that, but I really don't watch as much anime as I used to.
Yeah, you're not missing too much. I mean, Demon Slayer's good, and Boku no Hero Academia is horrible as that title is. It's pretty good for a while. I mean, the anime is okay right now. I'd probably just read the manga.
I've seen My Hero Academia. Pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I,
pretty good. I liked it
yeah.
at first, but then they just kept it got a little repetitive.
Yeah, have you seen the English dub?
No, even though I have heard some of the voice actors, they do sound great.
Yeah, I've actually met Deku's like English voice actor. Pretty cool
Ah,
dude.
cool.
Pretty cool dude. But back to like, what do you think of the Pokemon anime?
Okay, so a lot of people say that the Pokemon anime is kind of bad. And I agree,
Oh.
except for 2 things. The first half of the first season is legit some of the best anime I've ever watched. And that's completely without nostalgia, like, watching again as an adult. There are some weird things with it, like scenes where the Pokemon are talking to each other and there's no subtitles and they're just like, "Ah!" Like, that gets kinda weird, but else than that, I actually really like its, style of, like, a growing up story of it's more or less a sports anime, but framed as a shonen. So you have the, like, low down character moments where Ash is having that deep contemplation about, like, what it means to win, what his friends are and whatnot. And then you have those moments where it's like Charmander's lighting James's ass on fire. I don't know. I just really like it, and I really like the pacing. Each episode, like, felt really snappy.
Which season?
Season 1, the first half.
Okay.
Each episode really seemed like it was moving something forward. It was moving Ash's character forward. It was moving Misty's character forward. It was exploring Proc's backstory. The monsters themselves had a lot of personality. I loved the art style. But then the second half of the season begins around episode 25, 30. Then the filler strikes. The gym leaders stop being as memorable. The art style kind of drops a little bit. You could tell they kind of ran out of budget.
Yeah.
And I don't really like the second half as much. I still think it's okay. I think it's better than the series that followed afterward.
So
My big thing is
do you think
Ash.
they should have like stopped after the first Pokemon movie like they were going to?
Yeah, I feel like they should have done how the well, okay, from an artistic standpoint, I feel like they should have done how the manga does, where it switches out the main characters every now and again.
Yeah, you could like totally do that. Like that's what the games do. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I
like
get why, like, for the marketing, they just keep Ash Ketchum, but,
yeah,
like, for how good the show is, it would have been much better if we had more character arcs because Ash gets a complete character arc in the first season.
yeah.
Hell, he gets a complete character arc in the first episode. Episode 1 is probably my favorite episode of anime ever just because of that. It's the anti-anime episode where normally anime is very slow, you gotta watch a million episodes for it to pick up. Pokemon Episode 1 gives a full character arc for both Ash and Pikachu,
Yeah,
and I just love it. But then they keep having him have more character arcs, and again and again and again, but they aren't exploring a different aspect of his character with each season. They're just kind of doing the same thing. He's a whiny kid again at the beginning of each new region. And then slowly over the course of the series, he learns what friendship is and he learns what winning that it's not important and
so
it's
here
the same lessons he learned in the first season.
here's what they should have done. Like, if you worry about marketing, like the character that's going to replace Ash, you introduce him before you start that season with him. But that
Yeah,
way,
like
when that season happens, we already know this character. You know.
yeah, that'd be cool. Like I was actually kind of expecting Jimmy to be the new main character after Ash, the guy that had Sparky the Pikachu and that beat him in the first league. Spoiler alert, I guess for a 20-year-old anime. But if for anybody watching this that hasn't seen it. But yeah, another thing that really got me excited is at the beginning of the Gen 4 anime, it didn't look like Ash was gonna be the main character anymore. It looked like Dawn was going to be the main character, and I
why?
loved it.
Why wasn't she? Why?
Marketing?
There's a lot of yeah, like especially like nowadays when people are like trying to have more stronger female characters and push the like diversity. I'm surprised that they haven't like replaced Ash with a female character. Honestly,
Yeah, I'm surprised too. Like Basically everybody that I've talked to that's watched the anime says that when Dawn looked like she was gonna be the main character, their hopes for the series skyrocketed. She was a completely different character, had different personality, had different faults in her character that could be explored over the
Or
course of the season.
or
Looked great,
or
but then here
or,
comes Ash and he fries her bike.
or another option was the female character of like X and Y.
Yeah, like, she was really cool, and I also like, the, second thing that I was gonna say about the anime was I did like X and Y, sort of. I liked the things that they were trying to do with it.
You
I liked how they
you gotta admit the production quality in X and Y is like amazing, man.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
It was great.
and
Like, the battles looked amazing, and I actually liked how Ash and Serena actually kind of started to develop a relationship. It
yeah,
was something different,
and
but
didn't they like? Didn't she like kiss him like during her departure? Like they don't like actually like show the kiss, but it's strongly implied because of like the camera angle and stuff.
yeah, which makes it all the more annoying when Sun and Moon starts and Ash seems like he is less than 10, like he's 8.
Yeah, like
And
I don't know. I think it's just on the artistic style versus what he actually like looks like. You know.
yeah, the thing is, like, it's not just the art, it's his character too. He's a lot more silly, which is fine. I'm all for silly cartoons, but I don't think after X and Y that was a good decision because you built up this badass image for the character, and now he acts like a little school kid. He's gonna graduate like no one ever has before. What? That was actually the tagline to
Yeah.
the Sun and Moon anime. He's gonna graduate like no one ever has. Oh, what the hell?
Now you're making Ash go to school. Shouldn't he done that before? Not.
Yeah.
And it's like weird with Pokemon. Like each season they treat him like he's just starting his adventure when he should have like a lot more experience. Even if like the time works differently in Pokemon and it's only been like a year or so, he still should be a lot more knowledgeable with his like experiences.
You know what gets me? I watched the first season again, I'd say about a year ago, and they mention, I think in episode 20 something, that it's already been 6 months. So, and he only had like 4 badges then, I think 3 or 4. So,
So
who knows? It's
so
really weird that this series has continuity. Like,
so I heard like recently in the Pokemon anime and by recently like several months ago that like Ash like actually won a league or something like that.
he should have won an X and Y. He should have won then. But yeah, he did win against Gladion.
What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I stopped watching Sun and Moon on episode 30 something,
Mhm.
and I came back for the league. And I actually predicted that he was going to win. And when it happened, I face palmed so hard. I'm pretty sure that's why my hair is so long because the hair that was dormant inside my follicles just went. Oh my god. I did not like that fight. Basically, all that happened was I forgot what their first Pokemon even were. I think it was like Pikachu versus Mimikyu or something. I don't know. Didn't really remember that. But then they sent out both of their Lichen Rocks, and it was just like Gladeon would use Stone Edge, Ash would run his face into the Stone Edge, and then would like try to attack him close up, but then Gladeon would just counter. So this happened like 3 or 4 times in a row until you'd think like Ash's Lycanroc has to be dead by now, right? But no, Gladeon goes to counter him again, and then Ash counters the counter, and that's like the one hit he got on Gladeon's Lycanroc, and that won him the league. I
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit of a far cry from how good the fights in X and Y were.
I feel like you're getting angry with the anime. Let's talk about the movies. Do you have more
Uh,
positive opinions of the movies, or is it all
the movies as a whole, or just Detective Pikachu?
the animated movies? Well,
I I have mixed opinions. I think some of them are okay, but I don't really think Pokemon lends itself well to a movie format, at least not with Ash.
okay,
I
you
think
you want to hear a controversial opinion?
was that
I like Pokemon Forever.
oh no, that's fine. I thought it was okay.
Really, because a lot of people don't like that. Like, I really okay. Spoilers, because I'm gonna talk about the scene. You know what scene I'm gonna talk about, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that a great twist? Like, it adds so much depth into like Pokemon. If you don't know what scene we're talking about, so in the movie we meet a character Sam who like time travels and stuff through like one Pokemon. I forget the name of the Pokemon, but like in the end credit scene, it's revealed that the Sam that like Ash met was like Professor Oak as a kid.
Yeah.
Like that adds such a so much dimension in Pokemon, but they never bring it up in the series. At least I don't think they do. I don't know. Pokemon has so many episodes, so they could have brought it up, and I would never know.
Yeah, I think Pokemon's longer than One Piece at this point, and that's
Yeah,
kind of insane.
yeah.
Like, there's a lot of plot lines in Pokemon that I wish they would have expanded on more.
But to
Like,
be fair, it's easy to make a show longer than One Piece if it doesn't have a cohesive story.
true enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, One Piece actually has to put the plot forward with each episode, but
yeah.
Pokemon's just like the Donphan trainer's stuck in a well. Ash, use your Pidgeotto to get him out. Oh no, it's Team Rocket.
I'm, I'm,
Like,
I'm pretty sure they have like a random episode generator at this point.
they probably do. Like, really, just set up a dartboard with all the Pokemon in the new generation. Hit it. Okay, there's a trainer with that Pokemon. Come up with some problem that they have, maybe related to the Pokemon. I don't know. Bagon can't fly. Whatever. So the whole episode is about trying to get Bagon to fly. Oh, look, Team Rocket's coming. Bagon helped fight them off, but they're going off in a balloon. Oh no! Oh, now he's a Salamence. He flamethrowers them. Ash never sees this character again. Next episode. It's every time. Hell, that was maybe even an episode that I I don't know. I feel like I've seen that one before, but I just made it up. It's just the same thing every time.
Yeah. They're not the most creative people out there. At least the Rain
Yeah.
team, but were you creative as a kid?
Yeah. Again, before I wanted to do games, I wanted to be a novelist. So I would make little short stories in all these journals. I don't have most of them anymore, but I still have a few. They were awful, absolutely garbage. But I was like 7, so of course they.
So when did you decide you wanted to make games? Because you said you just like wanted to make books. What made you go from books to games?
Losing a lot of IQ points in high school. But no, really, it was starting Game Maker. I really liked it. At that point, I still wanted to be a novelist. Even when I was making games every single day, I was still just like, this is a fun thing to do. But I'm gonna go back to my books. But then, as the days went on, I would spend more and more time making games, less and less time with. And I realized that I liked the medium of video games better for telling stories than books. I
so
mean, I still like books, but I just feel like my brand of storytelling works a lot better with games.
so was the Game Maker your first uh game engine, or did you mess with other engines before that?
Nope. Game Maker was the first. I knew nothing about programming. I knew nothing about game dev when my friend sent me this. I don't even know
Huh?
why he sent me this.
I I don't know if GameMaker was my first, but a game engine I remember back in the day. I don't know if anyone remembers this, and I don't even know if you would call it an engine. But have you ever heard of the thing called My Game Builder?
I feel like I've heard the name, but I've never really checked it out before.
So it was this one of those like web-based applications. So you create like tile sets and you import it, and you could like make games with it and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, that
So
sounds pretty cool.
if anyone like remembers that, let me know in the chat and comments. You know, be it iTunes, how are you watching this? Like this podcast, we're putting on a lot of platforms. Like I finally got the SoundCloud working today. It took me forever to get on SoundCloud. Like it would not like upload for whatever reason. The upload kept failing and failing and failing and failing. But I'm getting like so you said you saw with the Game Maker. Were you going to college? Like, do you have a game education, or were you like, screw it, I can do this myself. I don't need college.
Yeah, I was all of 14 when he sent me Game Maker 8, so I was still in high school. I forgot what year in high school I was in. Whatever. I think it was like early sophomore. And I went through all of high school, and eventually, I think by the time I started to get out of high school, I decided that I wanted to make games. So then I did go to college for computer science,
Okay,
but
that's.
I didn't stay in computer science
Did you
because
did you get a degree or did you drop out?
I changed my major because I figured I don't want this to be a stressful thing. I don't want games to ever be something that I have to do. I want it to be something that I want to do, and I want to be able to make whatever I want. I don't want to feel like I'm trapped and need to make the most profitable thing possible. So I wanted to do something else for like a day job and leave programming completely to myself. Whether or not that was a good idea, I don't know. I can't really say yet. I literally just graduated university.
So
Uh,
what did you major in? You said.
well, I didn't really know what to major in at first. I was already in college at that point. I already had a few credits. I figured I might as well get a degree, but I didn't know what. And I was always a theater kid in high school. I was actually, trophy's too far up to get. I'm short. But I was actually voted the number one actor in my school when I went to North Point, my high school. So I wanted to do that, except there was no theater degree in my community college. So I went to communications first. Then I went to university and became a theater major. And I'm not entirely sure of what I want to do with that. I, of course, want to be a voice actor, but that's not something that you really need the degree for. That's just something that I've been doing as long as
Yeah,
I've been doing
yeah.
games.
It's about like who you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it really is just getting those connections. Uh,
Mhm.
doing a good job with your roles, hoping that things go forward.
Yeah.
So that's good. But when it comes to games, I have almost no formal education. It's just 9 years of me bashing my head up against the wall.
So you
So
don't have a degree in anything, or?
no, I have a degree in theater, and I just
Oh,
got it
okay.
last week.
Oh, okay, cool. So
Yep.
do you have any like acting plans or no?
I really don't want to do a whole lot of brick and mortar theater anymore. Like, I feel like I've kind of,
What about voice acting?
oh yeah, I want to do that a lot more. And now I have more time
Okay,
to do that.
I'll send you some stuff.
Oh, cool.
I'll
Uh,
look around my Twitter. I'll see if next time I see a audition, I'll send it your way.
sure thing. Thanks. That's actually the reason why I have this mic. But yeah, so the thing is, with I mean, of course, with voice acting, the thing that I really like to do right now is indie stuff, so that's great. Matter of fact, I'm gonna be talking with somebody tonight about continuing a series that he's doing
Ooh.
on Game Jolt, and I'm voicing one of the main characters for it.
Can you say what that series is or no?
Yeah, it is Final Gateway: The Genesis Scroll, and it's a visual novel series, and it's entering its, I think, fifth or sixth episode. And I think each game has 3 episodes in it, so we're gonna be coming up on the 2nd game in maybe a month or 2.
I have not heard of that.
Yeah, it's one of the games where I was going to shoot it to you as a, recommendation for an indie game that you wanted to do, but the developer's really new, so I wanted to kind of give him time to make his game more refined before I really sent it to you and before the
Cool.
world saw it more. And I think he's getting there.
Cool.
Episode 2 is the game number 2 is looking fantastic so far. I'm absolutely blessed to be a part of it.
So, so you decide to go with Game Maker. So, what do you think are some of like the strengths and weaknesses dealing with Game Maker? Because Game Maker, I guess, is one of the most simplified game engines. But like for doing the show, like I've been impressed with some of the stuff like I've seen with Game Maker. Like I didn't give Game Maker enough credit. Like I've been blown away. I'm like, whoa, this was made in Game Maker. This is badass, man.
Yeah, the thing is, after doing a bunch of different engines, I really don't see the criticism that Game Maker is simple. It's really just as complicated as any other engine. I think it's just conveyed better. It seems more simple because the layout is a lot better for video games than say Unity, at least to me. Um, Going to Unity and going to Unreal, I feel like the development environments are super customizable, and I like that, but I don't feel like they're super built for a newbie to come in and understand where everything is and how to do everything. A matter of fact, those programs don't even have their own built-in code editor. I mean, of course, Unreal has its blueprint system,
Yeah.
but with Unity, I had to get Visual Studio, which I already had for Game Maker Android, but I didn't like
Uh,
use it to code. But the thing is, once you get Visual Studio and you get it hooked up and everything, Unity and Game Maker, on the face of it, are very similar. It's just the layout's a lot different, but there are a few big differences, and that is, well, of course, you need to use C sharp or I forgot what else you could use for Unity. I think Java. I only use C sharp with it, but of course, you need to use that, and there's GML for Game Maker, but mostly UI or UO. That's gonna be the thing that is a big difference between them. With Unity, it's super easy. You just basically drag the, image onto the, scene editor. There's a little bit more that you have to do that's a little bit more complicated, but, like, that's basically all you have to do, just with a little bit more detail. Game Maker, on the other hand, has a draw system where you actually code all of your draw events, which includes all of your UI on the screen. All of your characters are done through that same kind of draw event. And while it's super dynamic, I love it for that. It's also really hard to set up, and getting everything to be positioned correctly is a nightmare in Game Maker
oh.
because you're doing all of your visuals through code, at least with the UI.
So
Whereas
there's definitely stuff that like Game Maker does better and like Unity does better, right?
yeah, Game Maker is a lot easier to understand from like an outsider's perspective, just looking in, coming into Game Maker for the first time is very easy laid out. But getting more complex with Game Maker is harder than it is getting complex with Unity. Particles are a bit harder in Game Maker. Memory management is a little bit harder in Game Maker if you're doing particles and you're doing audio effects. Um, But on the same time, a lot of things are harder in Unity because you need to use C sharp instead of a proprietary programming language that's meant for games. So you need to do a lot of kind of weird things that like a non-programmer wouldn't really think to do. I'm glad that I have the experience I do, so these things make sense to me. But to anybody else looking up the documentation of Unity, they'll probably be looking at it and go, what are half of these words? What are you talking about? I need a tutorial. Luckily, there are a whole lot of those, but figuring out this stuff on your own is nuts. I would definitely recommend GameMaker for that over Unity. And I would probably put Unreal as like a middle ground in between them. There is a lot of visual coding in Unreal,
Oh
and it
yeah,
looks
that
fantastic. It's very easy to make a great looking game.
that's something that's like really like drawn me to Unreal. Like if I were to choose a game engine, I might choose like Unreal. Like you can just like make a game just with blueprints. Like I know I don't know if you know. Do you know who Kindred Games is?
Uh, that's another one where I've heard the name, but like, what games?
Sword and Magic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I
So
have.
for the longest time, his games just had blueprints.
Hmm.
Oh, wait, no, I think it might still have blueprints. But I know like now he has like an actual programmer that's like helping him and stuff. So, but they might still be using blueprints. The point is, you can make an awesome looking game just like using blueprints. So,
Yeah, that's the big thing with Unreal.
with all the like different game engines, but particularly Unity versus like GameMaker, since you have experience in both, like which one would you recommend now? Is it hard to say? Like,
Well, it depends on what you want to do. The main thing with game engines is their tools, and you want to use the best tool for the job. There are some games that I would only build in GameMaker, mostly 2D games.
oh yeah,
Uh,
can GameMaker do 3D?
yes, a matter of
Oh
fact,
god.
yeah, the 3D game that I am developing was originally made in GameMaker. I made a full prototype for the game with full Z-axis collision, full combat in 3D. You could go above, under platforms and whatnot. Fully 3D game in GameMaker, but there was a big problem. For one, designing levels was a pain because in GameMaker, even if you're working with 3D, your level editor is 2D. Bit of
Oh.
an issue.
So what'd you do to work around that?
What I did is I made a lot of visual representation of 3D objects in 2D and just kind of I dealt. That's really it. I just kind of dealt with the problem and trucked through it. There wasn't really much else that you can do.
That sounds stressful, man.
Incredibly, it
Like
was very hard to do.
we've known each other for a while. I know some of the stuff, the crap you've been through. Android.
Yeah.
Oh god, I remember I kept like remember you like tweeting about like Android's gonna be up, it should be up, and then like Google.
Yeah, that was an experience. Thing is, I would love to make more Android games, but I really need a break.
You
That
want
was horrible.
you want to talk about the Android process, or do you have like
Yeah,
PTSD from it?
I do, and that's why it's good for me to talk about it. So, the thing is, going into it, I thought that it would be a lot easier to publish an Android game as compared to Steam. And back in the day, that was the case. Back when Greenlight was a thing, there was a horrible process that you had to go through where you had to put your game up for Greenlight. And if enough people gave it upvotes, like enough people went to the page and upvoted it, then it would be released and it would be on the store. It would take even popular games a long time to be greenlit, but they
Really?
got rid of that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Binding of Isaac took a year to get greenlit.
yeah.
So
And then now you just have to pay like $50, right, or something like that.
$100.
Oh, I knew it was a number. You just have to pay, and then you can just upload your game, right?
It was a number rather than 2 oxen. But, yeah, you pay and the thing is, the difference is back then you did have to pay, but it was a one-time fee. All you had
Oh,
to do was pay the, $100. It would go to charity, and then you'd be able to publish games to greenlight as much as you wanted. Or I think there might have been a cap per week or something to prevent spam, whatever. But post greenlight, you pay $100 per game, and once your game gets $1,000 in revenue, then you get your $100 back. This hurts indies a lot. Now, it doesn't hurt.
can you? Well, you probably are, but so how does it like hurt like indies? What's the impact on indies?
The reason why is the bigger guys, including the bigger indies, they're part of this too. Um, they can take that hit. They can take that $100 hit, and they're gonna make back that $1,000 easy. Who this hits hard are the little guys, the super little guys, who are probably not gonna make $1,000 on their game. But, making 100, $250 for like a small game, that's really not bad. That's not bad at all. And that's how a lot of like really smaller devs do their things. Or hell, sometimes not even smaller devs. Sometimes devs that just make a lot of smaller games but do have a decent fan base. They used to uh, make their living based on just making smaller games. But now that's not very viable anymore. I mean, you could go on like itch.io, and that's where a lot of them have gone. Um, a lot of them also have gotten Patreons, but Patreon isn't really it's really not that good for game devs. It's a lot better for video creators. I'm not entirely sure why that is. I really hope that a lot of studies come out about that. But when it comes to Steam, it's very bad for indies
Yeah,
just because
like I planned to get like Tim Rushrick on the show one of these days. Like I feel like he probably would have like a lot of like insight on that. I don't know if you know who he is.
nope, not off the top of my head anyway.
Looking up, so he like is very transparent about his numbers and stuff. He shares that information
Hmm.
publicly, so I feel like he would have a lot of like insight. But about like your game dev journey, so how did like Xander begin?
So Xander was a game back in 2011, and it came about because I refused to make a Pokemon clone.
I'll just do a
During
Pokemon clone. All the cool kids do it.
I know all the cool kids are doing it. I've been on Twitter. Oh boy, all the Pokemon I could. Yeah. If you want to play Pokemon, you could play Pokemon forever
Oh
if
yeah.
you just do indie devs. Same thing with Zelda. If you like Zelda, you will have video game content for the rest of your goddamn life because every indie gamer or every indie game creator under the sun has made a Zelda clone, except for me. But so Xander came about because my friend wanted to make a Pokemon clone, and I said no. I wasn't gonna clone anybody else's idea because I wouldn't really be able to put my own input on it. I would feel too constrained by the Pokemon formula. So I wanted to make my own thing. And my reaction wasn't to make another monster game at first. I just left the idea in the toilet for a while. I made a bunch of other things. I made some turn based RPGs that didn't have to do with monsters. I made some hack and slashes. But then, while I was making my newest action RPG, I started to get bored with it. There really wasn't anything special about it. You were just, it was top down. You had, weapons. You could buy them from a shop. You killed enemies, got XP. But then I was just like, hold the phone. How can I make this a little bit better? What if I was the monster? So I recoded it to basically give myself control over one of the enemies. And it was fun. Oh, playing as the enemies in that game was
Oh,
great. So then I made it so that within the game itself, I didn't even have to keep hacking it. I could just morph into each of the enemies. Whenever I came across one, I would just be able to press space and instantly I would become that enemy. And it was just so fun. And then I just immediately light bulb went off.
Xander the Monster Morpher. Oh,
Yeah.
we're not at that part. Because isn't Xander the Monster Morpher a remake of the other Xander games?
Yeah. The first Xander game was called The Adventures of Xander the Monster Morpher, Aura of Harben. And that game came because then I finally decided to make a monster game. So I went through, I made the whole thing, I made the story, I made all the characters, and then my friend loved it. He was like, this is better than a Pokemon game. We should make a sequel. So then I started to draft a sequel that had better like graphics, better code, and that game was called Xander the Monster Morpher Aura of Harben. So now I had two games that had the same title, but the second one was the only one that got released, and it was released on our website. So then I started to miss some of the mechanics from the first game. So I went back and I extended the first game with DLC, and I called it Xander 10's Darkness, based on a new character that I added in named Tenet. Yeah, Tenet was actually not in the original Xander game. It was just Xander and Ryan. So he was a major
I
character
don't know.
in the new game.
You're making me think of like Kingdom Hearts numbering and titling now. Kingdom Hearts 2.5, 2.8.
This series has a lot of that. It's that shit trying to keep up with this. Really, the only thing you need to know is Universe Breaker, the newest one. It's a remake of the first game anyway. But like this series has had a long history of just being made and remade and having different mechanics be put in different games and having different characters come in and oh, it's nuts. And the third game was online multiplayer. The whole game was co-op, but that game had a completely different story that had to do with an alternate universe and timeline, and it's a different Xander and Ryan and uh oh god. Just mm. I do actually recommend playing that game though for the multiplayer features, but don't play it for the story. God, I hate that game's story, but I love the rest. Uh,
Which one?
the third game, the one that's all online. It's not an MMO. You actually do need like
Was
Hamachi
that
or
the one
whatever.
you streamed or no?
Yeah, I streamed all of them a week apart from each other. I
Okay.
think
Well,
there were the ones that I did on Saturday, I believe.
I can I know I catch one of your streams. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, all of them for the first time are available on the page. It's actually the first time the first Ender game was ever released to the public.
Can you repeat that? You cut out.
Yeah, for the first time, all of the Xander games are available online. They're all on my itch page. It's actually the first time the first game is ever put online. Period. So
Is it are they like separate or are they in a bundle?
they're all separate because I actually lost the source code to the first game. I only have the executable, so that's all I could upload. For
Wonderful.
yep.
It happened. I mean, hey, it happened to Square. Like, I believe they like lost like all the code for like Kingdom Hearts like 1. So when the like remix was coming out, they kind of had to do that from scratch. I think.
Yep.
the code.
When you're playing a remake of Kingdom Hearts 1, you're playing a completely different make of that game.
Yeah, I mean, it still looks the like same. Well, not completely the same. It's obviously the models are in more high definition, But
Yeah, like, it's slightly different, and if you play a lot of the original, you can kinda tell the difference, but they did a really good job.
yeah, and it was like the first time we like Westerners got to play the final mix versions.
Yeah, and, like, I would go back and remake the first Xander game, like, exactly how it was, but I really don't see the point since there's Universe Breaker that's already just better in every way and it has the same story anyway, so, I'm
Xander,
not really too torn up about it.
Xander final mix confirmed.
Oh god, see, the funny thing is, for a while, I was bouncing around with the idea of making a final mix version of Universe Breaker,
Uh,
that just but, I'm really doubt that I'm gonna do that at this point because there's just so much hype with the 3D game. Every time I post about it, just people jump on it. New people come on, they comment, they DM me. But, whenever I post about Xander, nothing. Not really. I assume because of the graphics, that's what a lot of people have told me. Like, they actually didn't think that they would like the game just because it doesn't look fantastic, but once they played it, they loved it. Like, the amount of messages that I get about that are staggering, sometimes using the exact same wording. So,
I mean, Xander looked
people
cool
are
to me.
smiling.
I always enjoyed the gifts you showed off and stuff. I mean,
Yeah, like, I always thought it looked good, and the reason why I made it in that art style to begin with is to kind of harken back to the older Xander game. They were all, like, top down in that kinda style, so it really is supposed to look like that. It's just, I guess not everybody really shares my tastes. And, it's
it's
also just really hard to draw in that art style to begin with because when most people say top down, they're talking about three quarters view, kind of like Pokemon or Link to the Past. But Xander's like actually top down, like the camera is right above you. And that's really hard to draw because you're essentially working with one layer. Like, if there's a bush or something, you don't know if you're gonna be able to walk above it or, like, if that's part of the walls or whatever, if there's collision, it's really hard to tell, so level designs had to be super simple, and a lot of people criticize that, but it's like, I would rather have them be simple than be confusing, if that makes any sense, especially on Android? Like, the
oh,
screen is the size of a credit card! I couldn't make the levels look that complicated, and really, the game was originally meant to be just an Android game to begin with.
I still find it funny how like the port of the Android came out before the Android version.
Yeah, thanks, Google. Yeah, it came out a month beforehand, not even like a day or 2. They were supposed to come out the same day.
And you
Nope.
didn't even like know when it was out until I said something.
Yeah, everybody else knew that it was out before I knew. I was the last person to know. By the time I looked at it and I downloaded it, it already had like 50 something downloads. I was the last person to know.
Don't you get a notification?
No,
What?
they didn't tell me. I think they might have told me like 3 days later.
Well, I got a notification. That's how. Like, how hard is it to like?
And I checked both of my emails too, both of the ones that I had signed
Like,
up to a Google account.
You
Nope.
you didn't even get like a push notification.
Not until like 3 days later. Nope.
Wow.
Yeah. That the whole process of Google Play was the worst thing I've ever experienced as a game dev, and I've done 3D, full 3D in GameMaker Studio, and Google Play was still the worst.
So when's that iOS version coming out?
I don't know. The thing is, I don't have an iPhone to test it on. I don't have I don't really have an Apple account for anything. I don't have a Mac. you need a Mac in order
Oh,
to make.
you could just get like a virtual machine.
Yeah, but at the same time, I just still I don't really know. I don't even know if it'd be worth it at this point. Oh, yeah. So Just Wall Games just said, sounds like a nightmare. Worse than Steam Depots? Infinitely worse. Steam Depots are really not that bad, at least for me. I didn't have a lot of problem with them. Depending on your engine, maybe there'd be a lot more issues, or maybe your extensions if you're using GameMaker. But oh yeah, it is way worse than Steam Depots.
So,
But
are you game dev full time or no? I think you said no, but I want to like clarify.
No, and I really never intend to be, just so that I can make whatever I want and there would never be any stress with it.
Okay.
If I oh, if I was a game dev full time, I'd have to really push my games to be as profitable as possible. I'd have to spend a lot of time worrying about the money aspect of it, and I just want to not care about that. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm going to market and I'm going to not be stupid and I'm going to try to get as much money as possible, but I won't. That's not the focus, is the point. And I never want it to be the focus because then it's not going to be fun.
So, what do you plan to do full time, or are you just gonna do a various of different things?
Well, through college, I was a carpenter and, and an electrician. I don't plan on doing that anymore. That was very taxing on my body. My shoulder feels like it's gonna fall off. So there were also days where I would be like 100 feet in the air, and I would be handling some stuff, and like the platform below me would kind of shift, and I'd be like, "Hey, foreman, what happens if this shifts a little bit too much?" And he basically just said, "Go ahead first. It'll be easier that way." So, yeah, I'm not really going to be in that line of work anymore. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I literally just graduated last week. So I'm giving
Yeah.
myself a little bit of a break, like 2, maybe 3 week break of just doing game dev and just doing voice acting. But aside from that, I would like to be a part-time voice actor and a part-time, I guess, something to do with audio. I'm pretty good with that.
Hey,
Um,
if you want mix my audio, let me know.
I mean, that'd be fun. That's something that I do a lot anyway
Because
as an actor.
because I feel like I need like someone to like mix my audio for these podcasts because the audio is still in the work in progress. Like these first couple episodes are gonna be rough. Hopefully, as time goes, we can get some better audio mix going on. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's just kind of how it always is with new series. Like when I first started streaming, oh, that was terrible. I was too loud all the time, then I was too quiet. Then Streamlabs OBS wouldn't work half the time. And then there was that one time with I forgot his name. It was some indie dev. None of his games worked with Streamlab. So I had to do some really tricky workaround with like my recording software. I had to record the game, and then Streamlabs had to
Was it
target the recording. And it's
was
just
was it a RPG Maker game?
I think like 2 of them were, but the rest weren't. They were something that I've never heard of before.
Uh,
Like I I
did,
just really don't remember at all. It was something super obscure.
do you know what game engine it was or no?
Nope. He did say it, but it's something that I just never heard of before and never heard of since. And it's
Uh,
something from the 90s. So I I really don't know, man. It
yeah,
was old
but
Game Maker.
I always have bad like I don't know. Streamlabs doesn't like RPG Maker games. Like game captures rarely work for like RPG Maker games. So a lot times I have to do a window capture and sometimes even that doesn't work. So sometimes I have to go full on display capture, crop, and be careful to not open my Twitter.
Yeah, like, you'd think Streamlabs would do something about that. RPG make? That's like what half the indie games are made in, for better or for worse.
Well, to be fair, not there's very few like indie game streamers. It's not like the most popular market on Twitch.
Yeah, but it's still definitely something that you should account for when you're making a, like a streaming software. Even fringe cases should probably be accounted for, especially since it is like the main thing that your software is doing, like capturing games. I don't know. I think they're a little bit too popular to not consider that. Then again, what do I know? I literally just said that I don't want to be too much on the business side of things. So,
Yeah, you just want to make cool games. So, did you do? So you have someone do the art on Xander, right? Or did you do the art yourself?
I did almost all of the in-game art myself,
Okay.
like 99.9% of it. Jamie, the artist for like the posters and the like all the promotional material, my Twitter banner and all that, she does all of the promotional material. She draws a lot better than I do, but she can't really animate, and that's a big
Uh,
problem. So I'm still the one making the sprites even to the 3D game.
uh,
And I've gotten a lot better, and I'm a lot more free since I'm not in that, like, horrible, camera perspective anymore. So, my art is a lot better now, but, yeah, I only have another artist for the, promotional material. She says that she does want to learn how to animate, but she doesn't really think that she can be ready to make something that'd be like a commercial product quite yet. So we're probably just gonna make some side projects together before we really like jump into a big commercial project with her doing the art, like completely doing the art.
you guys could always like start with like some game jam games.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking we're probably gonna do, except we don't really like doing game jams because I like we're super chill with making games. I know it might not seem like it because I just put out a lot of content and a lot of it is very difficult to make. But I don't really like the concept of a time limit. So I mean, I'm cool with the concept of a deadline that's like a year out, but like of, make a game in 48 hours. Like, dude, before I graduated, I'd worked in school and I needed to eat and poop. Like, most of my time that wasn't working or school was spent on game dev, and I wanted that to be the relaxing time and,
I
like, the
get.
time where I feel like I'm in my element, not in the time where I feel like I'm scrambling to make a glitchless game in, like, 40 hours. Not really my thing. So
So
we're probably not gonna join any game jams, but we are probably gonna make a lot of smaller games.
okay, but like for me, for game jams, I think it's like less about finishing the game and more about like learning new skills. Like I feel like that should always be the focus of doing a game jam. Focus on learning new skills. If you don't finish your game, you don't finish your game. At least you learned something, and it's a learning experience, and you gain something. It's all about like setting your expectations.
Yeah, that's why when I first started making games, it was before game jam culture really hit the indie scene. I did make a lot of like just smaller games. I wasn't really one of those devs that were just like, I'm gonna make my dream game right away. How do I code? Like, I was kind of cool with that style of making game at first, but now I'm just a lot more comfortable with the way I learn nowadays. Like, now I'm just very pragmatic with my projects. Like, I didn't know any Unity, but I needed my frame rate to be better on my 3D project, so that's why I learned Unity. I, um I didn't know anything about lighting in a game development standpoint, so I learned lighting just for this game. Like, almost all the skills that I get nowadays are just because, like, I have this idea of a game in my head, and I need to have the right tools to make it. And the only reason why I can do that is because I have that 9 years of experience riding on my back. I do really agree with the whole game jam thing for, new devs, but I think
Mhm.
after a little while, you kind of know what kind of dev you are, and you kind of know how you learn best. And
Ah,
the way I learn best is just having a monumental task in front of me and just having every which way to kind of approach it and climb that mountain rather than making smaller, more focused games.
yeah,
I also am not really good with tutorials.
yeah, I learn best through like the act of doing. Like for example, when I'm playing board games and like learning how to do a play a board game, you just the person will explain, and it's good to explain rules. But honestly, I'm only half paying attention. Like I don't like really learn until I'm actually playing, and then as things come up, I can ask questions. That's kind of
Yeah,
like
the old
my
Mega Man approach.
yeah, my that's my kind of like learning process. But what's your like art and like game design process like? If you have
So
a
this
process.
time, like the thing is, this time I'm trying something new. My
Uh,
normal process is I fly by the seat of my ass. I usually don't have the story planned. I don't have I mean, I'll have the basic gameplay planned, but I don't really have an idea of what the end game will look like. I just completely make whatever the hell I feel like for the next level or whatnot. And that's worked so far, but now that I'm putting a lot more effort into each game and each game's taking me like 2 or 3 years to put out, I've realized that that's not a very good thing to do. It worked for Universe Breaker because I already basically had the game storyboarded out. It's based on another game, but with this new game, it's not. So I'm making a Game Maker 8 game. Gotta get those nostalgia points. And I'm making a storyboard of the game in Game Maker 8. I'm more or less making a small, very simple version of the game in Game Maker 8 so that I know exactly what I'm gonna be making when I do it in Unity. Because
oh,
doing anything in Unity takes a long time.
so you're using Game Maker as like a prototype tool.
Yeah, like, I just the thing is, I can make things a lot faster in Game Maker, and if I decide that I don't like a piece of story, I can rewrite it really easily in Game Maker. But if I'm making it in Unity, it's gonna take a lot longer to do anything, especially since it's 3D and I'm kinda new to that. And there's gonna be a lot of animation. Like when the characters talk, there's actually gonna be voice acting this time around, and they're
Ooh.
gonna, kind of put their arms around, they're gonna bob their heads. There's gonna be a lot of animation. So if I rewrite a scene, I would have to reanimate it. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna have a bit of a process. I'm gonna complete the storyboard. I just had to do a major rewrite, so it might have to take a little longer than expected. Then I'm going to fully voice and animate the first part of the game that will be in the Kickstarter demo myself. I'll do all the voices, including the female ones. I'll do them kind of silly.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
so like, Xander had a Kickstarter, right?
Xander had a what? You kind of cut out there.
Xander had a Kickstarter, right?
Yep.
And if I remember, it didn't succeed, right?
Yeah, I actually took it down after a little bit because I just decided that this game wasn't really the time for me to go full commercial with it.
So,
Um,
what did you think uh, wasn't working for you for Kickstarter? Because I see a lot of cool indie games like Kickstarters that don't like succeed, like that like one like Studio Ghibli like game that I showed you if you remember that like anime looking
yeah,
one like that didn't do well, it failed. So I'm wondering, do you have any insight? Like, what kind of advice can you give people who trying to get the game funded on Kickstarter and aren't having like what do you think works and what doesn't? If you have any insight on that.
Yes, just while I am in my bedroom, I just moved back from college. But okay, so the thing is, of course, I haven't had a successful launch yet. I plan on this game being the first launch. Um, thing that I gotta say is, I mean, just go all in. Like, it is a very hard thing to do to get kickstarted, especially as an indie dev. It's very hard to get people to look at your game, especially if part of your Kickstarter is supposed to be getting your marketing budget. How are you going to get people to know about your Kickstarter? It's just very difficult. It's something that you have to talk a lot about. You kind of have to shill a bit. I'm sorry if that
Yeah.
makes people really
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
and
Mm,
you also have to do pre-marketing. Don't wait until the Kickstarter to market.
yeah.
Like I see
Oh,
that
definitely.
mistake a lot, and like have social media links. Like this one I've been telling about. Like I could not find any social media like of them, and I could tell it's the first game. They just want to like make it so that they don't. Okay, we'll put this out and hopefully it'll get like funded, but like it's I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's impossible without marketing, but why not
It's just
market?
going to be very difficult.
Why
Yeah.
not? You might as well, and you don't need to pay a ton of money to do marketing. Though, you know, putting some money in doesn't hurt, but there's a lot of like free options you can do for like marketing. So you think marketing is pretty important, right?
Oh, definitely. For the success of your game, marketing is the one most important thing. It's more important than the art, more important than the music, more important than the gameplay. That's just the unfortunate truth. If you want to go commercial and you want to make money for your game, especially if you want to be full time, you have to be really privy with the marketing. That's got to be your number one concern. And that can feel kind of crappy to a lot of indie dev, especially the ones who are getting into this for the art, for making the best game possible. But
So do you think social media is the best way to market? Because I feel like it is.
social media is okay. It's, of course, there's no substitute for dumping $10,000 on a TV ad. If you do that, you're basically set no matter what. But if you have a good social media presence, even your so-so games are going to get at least a little bit of a following. If just make sure that you post often and don't just post your stuff and then leave. Be a part of the indie community.
Yeah.
That's going to be the number one thing that's going to make you successful, even in the very beginning when your games don't look that great. Your success is going to be tied to the people that you know. And that's going to be throughout your entire career. If if nobody knows you, if you don't know anybody, you're not friends with anybody who does indie dev, you're not gonna make it that far if you just post online because there's so many people posting about indie games, so many people whose games probably are gonna look better than yours, at least for quite a few years. You're just gonna be a little minnow in a very, very large ocean.
And
And unless you
I feel like cross promotion can go a long way too. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, it's just one of those things where any kind of promotion is gonna be good. I mean, I guess unless you, dress up in a KKK uniform and go down the streets of
Yeah.
DC and wave a flag of your game around, maybe not that, but anything, like, short of that, um, any kind of marketing that you can do, just go ahead and do it. You'll be glad that you did. You'll be a lot better off than if you didn't.
So
It's
do you think the use of like content creators is a good way to market?
sorry, what was that? You kind of cut for a little bit.
The use of content creators. Do you think that's a way to market? Do you think like content creators have an impact on the success of a game? Like if they were to do coverage and stuff?
Sort of. Uh, YouTube is gonna be number 1. If a YouTuber does your game, it's gonna go a lot further than a streamer.
Thanks.
Uh, and unless the streamer is huge, but even then,
Yeah.
if they make an, like, fully edited YouTube video about your thing, then it's still gonna go a lot further than even if, say, PewDiePie, streamed it. Uh, so it's really yeah, it's just like, what Bree for Tokyo is saying in the chat there. It's really getting the public to know your game. Basically anything that's gonna get people that did not know about your game before to know about it, that's what's gonna get you forward. It's that simple, but it's also really complicated to do that without a ass ton of money.
Because my whole goal is I want to like use my channel and my show to help get like indies exposure. I want to actually like make a difference and like translate to sales and success. But the more I do it, the more I will wonder, like, is what I'm doing helping? Am I wasting my time? It could just be the negative thoughts in my head, but
I mean, I think you are. I think you're a great advocate for, indie dev, but I don't know. I would say, of course, it would be better if more people tuned in, but I don't really know how to do that.
I'm
Uh,
getting there. I'm getting one day.
yeah, because I mean, your stuff is great, especially with the amount of content that you do, the sheer amount of Kickstarters that you look at, the sheer amount of games that you look at. I don't know how you schedule all of that. That's nuts.
I
I
don't
remember when I
schedule like a lot of it is last minute. I'm like, oh crap, I need a game. Like, and a lot of times I get too distracted with Kickstarters and like schedule games get delayed. I have to push it into the next week, and then I feel bad because I tweet out the devs ahead of time and tag them, and when I don't cover the game like I promised, I feel bad. Like, so I'm trying to cut down on the number of games I do and spend more time with those games. Whereas before it was like 3 to 9 games or 3 to 6 games, some number, but I want to try and spend more time with these games. But it's hard because indie game lengths can vary. Like, because I try to go
yeah.
as blind as possible because I want to convey a genuine reaction.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is always the thing. Like I have a I remember when I streamed for a little while and there was this one indie guy that I wanted to do because he came up and DM'd me personally. So how could I refuse? I
Yeah.
was new. So I wanted to go in blind so that I would have a more natural reaction and oh my god. I wish that video was still up on Twitch, but it happened more than 2 weeks ago and I don't have Prime. But oh Jesus. That was an experience. That the games didn't work half the time, and the other half of the time, the creator of the games was I don't really know how to explain it. I don't wanna be mean here, but he was pretty young, and I could tell he didn't really know how to be on stream, and he wanted to call, like, voice call like we're doing now as I was playing the games, and the whole time it was just very, very awkward, and I really wish I would have known how young he is for one.
Yeah.
I would
Th-
I wish I would have known that he had no experience in front of the camera. I
that
wish I would have known, like, what engines his games were made in and whatnot. So,
that's
the fact that you do this, like, every week, I salute you, man. That's
that's why I don't voice chat on stream because like I don't want to be mean either, but like I see other streams and sometimes there's like kids talking with the streamer and sometimes awkward.
Yeah.
Like I get that they really want to like connect with that streamer and stuff, but like I don't know. Sometimes I feel like voice chat distracts from the stream. Like sometimes I feel like streamers forget they're streaming and focus too much on the voice call.
Yeah, like,
Because
it was on his insistence. I wanted to just have him be in the chat like everybody else, but he insisted on being in voice, and I just really wish that I screened him beforehand before saying yes to that, because that was That was not a good time. That was a very interesting 2 hours.
Yeah. But now I want to like salute you because like you have a pretty good like Twitter game from what I see. When you post like screenshots and stuff, like you get like a lot of engagement. Like teach me your ways, uh,
I'm I
Jedi
mean,
Master.
really, I don't know how it happened. I think it's just because I was a massive asshole on, Twitter. Like, I would just go and post puns and, like, really horrible, sarcastic remarks on everybody's pages, and eventually they just kind of knew me, and I guess started to deal with me. Maybe Stockholm syndrome made them like me a little bit better. I don't know. My posts also get a wildly different amount of interaction on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes I'll easily hit like 90 or 100 like within the first few hours, 90 or 100 likes.
So
And then other
the
times I'll get like 20 in a day. I don't know.
so does you posting a screenshot or not like make a difference? Do you find if your post has like a picture or screenshot, do you get like more engagement?
Oh, definitely. The largest engagements that I've ever seen were from short, very, very short videos. Like, might as well be GIFs, but I don't like making GIFs quite as much as I like making videos.
What about static images? Just
Static images,
just like a
mm,
plain screenshot.
not really. I don't really get as much engagement on those.
Yeah.
I'll get like my core audience always, like even on some of my text posts, but like really most of the time, what I'm going to be looking at is the short, maybe 3 to 4 second videos are what hits the big number. Longer videos after that, then below that, static images, then below that, text.
Like I want to make my like posts like more visually appealing because I do feel like the more visual the better like it helps, but like adding variety does help. But like what do I do? Like a lot of times the most engagement posts I could get are like if like a dev has like a gif and I attach that, but like sometimes they don't, and you know like
I mean,
because of the way my content I can't like really create like images and stuff. Well, like I could, but I want to go as blind as possible in the game. So
yeah, like, I mean, I'm just kind of pissing in the wind here because I've streamed before, but I haven't really been on your end of the spectrum. But I would probably say maybe show some GIFs of the gameplay, like as you play it, maybe record for a few seconds or so. Maybe record your streams and post like a GIF of the stream itself, including like
I
your
don't even
face.
know how to make a GIF, man. I'm not like a GIF person. I don't know. I just like steal other people's GIFs. Is that bad? Like
Yeah.
I tag them. I tag them.
I mean,
And like a lot of times it is in the press kit. So
you could do like short videos. I mean, that's what I do. I usually do that just so that if I wanted audio, I can do that too.
like
I
I thought about maybe like hiring a person to like make the gifts of like before I like play the game. Like they'll play the game before I do and like do some like recordings and stuff. But
I mean, that could work.
but
And because I don't know, just the posts that I've found the most success with are the ones with the motion and the ones that are kind of short. It's Twitter. There's not a lot of attention span.
yeah.
It used to be 100 characters strictly only, so give and take. That's just how the culture is there.
Have you ventured into TikTok yet? I don't
Not
know.
quite
I
yet.
don't know if I told you I have a TikTok account. Oh,
Yeah,
oh God! What
it
have
was recommended, but
what,
I
like
haven't quite done it yet.
TikTok has crazy discoverability. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Um, is there a desktop version of it?
No, that's it. So
That's what I thought. I couldn't find one.
it's only like a phone app, and the videos can only be up to like a minute long.
I mean, that's fine. On my Twitter, I don't really post anything longer than a minute. Hell, even my trailers, I specifically make them exactly a minute and then I cut myself off. So that's not really a problem. It's just I usually don't use my phone. I know it's kind of weird for a technology guy, like a programmer, but like it's weird if my phone is on, if it has battery. That's not a regular thing for me. So I'm not really hip with the phone culture. Man, now I'm sounding like the old ass. So like I just don't I think we don't have a lot of battery left. So just I don't know. I'll maybe get into it, but it's
Yeah,
one of those
yeah,
things where I just really wish there was a desktop
yeah.
version.
It's a very like younger generation, like even younger than like my generation. So,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
I,
don't get me wrong. I wanna yeet YouTube out the window. I know it's weird that I just said that was like an old ass, but then I just unironically used the word yeet. But I want YouTube to go down already. I hate YouTube so much. I don't know anybody who doesn't anymore. Like
well,
I loved the way it used to be back in 2006 and 7,
well,
but like
I'm gonna like start getting into like YouTube because if I want to like grow like my brand and my like channel, I have to make use of other platforms, you know.
and that's the bad thing. Like there's
Well, because Twitch doesn't have the discoverability. That's the
yeah,
problem.
like
That's the
YouTube has all of the infrastructure. It's the big giant of the industry. So taking YouTube down
yeah.
is gonna suck.
Like,
And like
I don't know like why Twitch doesn't have discoverability. Like, if YouTube can implement it, like it wouldn't be hard. Like, don't know if you watch like Harris like Hella, but he does like tips and he did like a video of how to add discoverability to like Twitch.
I'm actually really surprised that uh Twitch doesn't have like a YouTube-esque platform because it's owned by Amazon. You'd think that a company as big and rich as Amazon would maybe actually be able to compete with YouTube. But
I'm surprised like Amazon have hasn't like launched like a Twitch originals.
yeah, like I feel like it definitely could. I feel the moment somebody with a lot of money comes by and makes something that's basically like YouTube but not shitty, then it will be big.
Yeah,
That
but you need a lot of money, and even then it's hard because like everyone's on like YouTube, like
yeah, that's the problem. It's just it's got the history, it's got the money, it's got the infrastructure, it's got the people.
like YouTube like owns. So the only way we're gonna get a new YouTube is when YouTube dies, because when YouTube dies, something has to fill that hole. So until YouTube completely dies,
Yeah, with Copa, like I hope YouTube dies like right now.
well, no, let my stuff grow first, man. Okay, then it can die. Like, because I plan to upload the clips from the podcast, which I think will do really good. You know, I've been like researching into the algorithm. I got a game plan. Hopefully, it'll work. Like, hopefully, that's the hope, man.
Like I was shortly after doing the streams, I decided that I wanted to do YouTube instead. A matter of fact, that was what my entire last stream was about. It was an announcement about that. But
Actually,
yeah, see Silver. I ain't getting
I,
sued for having Jake swearing up a storm as a cute anime fox boy.
actually,
Yeah, I'm sorry, but Casey kind of rubbed off on me. I curse a lot more than I used to now.
so I was like worried about COVID. I probably should be, but like I'm like I don't know. Worrying about it isn't gonna help me, so I'm just gonna do the YouTube thing. But but,
Yeah,
but
like
I have a question. So I asked like Diego this last week, but but I want your opinion as someone who's more who've been doing games a lot longer. how do you think COPA is going to affect game developers? Do you think people are going to be too afraid to like upload coverage of games, and that's going to affect game developers a lot? Do you think?
Um, yes. As long as Copa is what it seems like YouTube is portraying it to be, then yeah, we're gonna have a problem if every single game is classified as a kids game, even if there's blood and gore and killing and hentai and shit. That's gonna be a problem
Yeah.
for a lot of content
And
creators.
Copa just confuses me. I hear all these different information. I hear worry about it. I hear don't worry about it. Like my head
Yeah, I
explodes.
mean, the thing is, I'm not gonna worry about it until a problem really starts to arise.
Yeah.
And when it does, I feel like we, the people, will be able to put enough pressure on lawmakers to be able to change it. Because really, this COPA came about because of pressure from people saying that a lot of content on these streaming services is inappropriate for kids, and that's true. But they don't really understand the nuances of like there's YouTube Kids, and there's the fact that you can report a lot of these people that are making like frozen hentai on YouTube and whatnot. And it's just it's mostly a case of people who don't really know about streaming and about YouTube trying to make laws about YouTube. And once it really starts affecting us, I feel like we can fight back pretty easily. But I mean, yeah, really just parent your kids. That's the number one thing. That's the thing that our parents did when we were kids. I don't know why it's so hard now, but you know, the glowing babysitter has to do its job.
Yeah.
YouTube's got to be the second parent in the
Yeah.
occasion, or third.
And if parents want their kids, if parents are okay with like kids, with their kids watching more mature content, that's not for me to say. That's their choice. You know, who are we to like, parent? You know, each family has their own set of like values and rules and stuff. So
Yeah, I'm like trying to legislate family values. I feel like is a contradiction. Like, how can you dictate what a family thinks is moral? I know you can make laws about like things that are actually going to hurt people, but the reason why this law is coming about is because of parenting. I honestly just feel like parents should be parents in that equation. I feel like they should use the things that are presented to them, like YouTube Kids, like the kids section in Netflix. Before you buy them a game, look at it first. Look at the ESRB rating. I know the
yeah.
ESRB isn't fantastic, but
and
there's a ballpark.
and I feel like well, the problem is like parents that don't understand entertainment and technology and what this content is and stuff. They're like, "Oh, here's a TV, go watch it," and they treat like content, movies, online content as like babysitter, even games as content. You know, it's not a babysitter.
Oh, definitely not.
Uh,
Like, you do have to watch the kinds of games that you buy for your kid. Like, it's it seems like it's common sense to me. I don't really know how this has happened to begin with, but it really is just people that don't understand that not all games are for kids, that adults can enjoy kids games as well and comment on them in a non-kid friendly manner on YouTube. Uh there's just a lot of nuance to it that I feel like there needs to be people on these panels who actually know about YouTube and about video
yeah,
games
yeah.
when they legislate these
I,
things,
I, I
because it
think
doesn't appear like that's the case.
And I also think we need to start like educating parents about this content. What is this content? What does these things on ERSP mean? Like, what is this? You know, I feel like some parents don't fully understand games
Yeah, I
because
feel like that's another big.
they've never like played one. Like, play a game with your kid. Like, not enough parents. I feel like not enough like parents do that.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big problem. Like, if you don't understand what you're trying to kind of limit and legislate about, it's going to
Ooh.
really create a problem. Like, my parents are the parents of a game developer, and they honestly can't wrap their minds around a game that's not like Atari 2600. And I've even shown them modern games. I've shown them games that I've, and for some reason, whenever I like got to pick up a game and I like will come back home because I'm home now. I'm not like in college anymore. They'll look at it and just be like, "You went all the way out to the store, paid like $60 for what, like 5 minutes of entertainment or so?" I'm like, 5 minutes? What are you talking? No, these games are like 20 to 60 hours long, and it just blows their mind. No matter how many times I tell them that, I don't really know if it's a generational thing because my dad played a lot of Atari. My dad even played a bit of NES. I don't understand what happened here, like culturally.
Okay,
Uh,
so we're kind of almost out of time because
oh yeah, it is getting on there.
because I think like one of the platforms I can't have an upload mode to. No, I think SoundCloud's fine. I don't know, but just in case, I'm gonna ask like one more question. Well, maybe two more questions, and then we're trying to open it to a quick Q&A. So, have you used sites like Keymail and AnyBoost?
Yeah, I've considered using Indie Boost, but I decided ultimately against it. I forgot why.
I
I
might.
could come back later for a more detailed explanation, but I haven't used them yet. There was an actual reason, and I was actually really considering them
Okay,
at first.
because I am like an indie boost partner, so.
Yeah, I saw on
but,
your Twitch page.
but you're welcome to be honest, so.
Oh yeah, yeah, I would be completely honest, but I honestly forgot
Yeah.
why I did. It might have just been, I don't know if it costed money, it might have been pricing at the time. If it doesn't, then there was some other reason.
Were you
I don't know.
concerned about people selling your game keys?
No, that
Because
was fine. That was a concern at one point, but it wasn't for Indie Boost.
I know
I
that's a big issue with Keymail, from what I hear.
Yeah, I actually did have an instance of sending a key to a streamer, and he ended up selling it, and that
And
annoyed me.
then it makes other streamers look bad.
Yeah. So like after that happened, I became a bit more wary of what streamers I would give keys to, and I was unintentionally an asshole every now and again, and I really just don't want to come off that way. Except for like, ironically, like I'll act like an asshole on Twitter just because it's funny, but I know people know that I'm joking there. But like, when I went over email, I would start to be like more business like, and I would start to be a lot more strict with who was getting those keys, and I ended up hurting some people's feelings that I really didn't intend to. People who were good streamers
Yeah, well, why didn't you
who
give me
didn't.
a why didn't you give me a key, man? I'm
You didn't
hurt.
ask. You just bought it. I
Oh
was
yeah.
actually just about to give you a key.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, I was like maybe 15 minutes. I was like downloading it, and the bar was up, and then you're just like, "Okay, I just bought it." And I was just like, "Oh, cool."
Well, because I like to plan ahead. I wanted to make sure I had the copy of the game.
Yeah, like I completely
And
understand
I
that.
thought like if you like really want to give me a key, you would.
Yeah, like, there was enough evidence there that I knew that you weren't one of the bad, but there were some, like, new streamers that I didn't have a lot of evidence for, that I was kind of a little bit too mean about in my emails, and those are the people whose, like, feelings I hurt. There were some other people that I also suspected at first, but then they sent me proof, and then I was like, "Okay, sorry, man, it's precautions, I'll give you your stuff right now."
Okay, so before we open to Q&A, are there any indie games you're interested in?
Yeah, I don't know if he's watching or if he's ever gonna watch in the but, Scimitar DD,
Oh yeah,
David Hartcore, when are you going to release SM4R? my god, I've been
Is
waiting
it?
for that game for
Is
so
it?
long.
Isn't it out, or is it only in like an out? Because I remember streaming a version of that. Was that just like a beta or something?
Yeah, that was just the demo,
Oh, okay.
and that's all that's been out for the past year. And he's mostly working on a Rocket League type game on his channel now on Twitch or channel his account on Twitch. And I'm just really wanting SM4R. That is my like indie or not. That is my number one game on my list. I really want it because I'm damn near addicted to that series. Like not just SM4R, but like SM3, SM2,
Wait,
SM5.
there's other ones? I didn't know.
Yep.
Oh.
And this is kind of like his Xander the Universe Breaker, where it's like this is the first time he's taking the series and really making it
Yeah,
public.
yeah, I see you guys like interacting a lot on Twitter and.
Yeah, it's actually really eerie how much our development histories line up with each other, right down to the different years that we did specific things. Like, we basically just had the same development history, and we did not know each other until, like, a year and a half ago. So, that's that. He's basically making his Universe Breaker, but I released Universe Breaker. You release your game, damn it.
Man, I want him. I hope he's listening, man. That'd be
I
great.
hope, like, if he's listening now, then great, release your damn game. If he's releasing or if he's watching in the future, like on iTunes or whatever, great, release your damn game.
And thanks for
God.
watching the podcast. You know.
Oh yeah, thanks. Release your damn game.
Okay, so we are now going to open it to Q&A. So if there's any people in the chat that want to ask a question, ask you a question.
Yeah, I know there were a lot of questions that came by during the stream that we just didn't really get to because we were talking about one thing
Yeah.
or another.
Well, I tried to save like chat interaction until after the actual interview portion. So
Yeah.
so I was like intentionally not like looking at because I wanted to save into like after. But let's look at something. Let me actually open the other chat window because so Sliverblade says I'm still terrified that one day a parent would get on my case after they got any of my novels when Game Jokes stuff to tell you what content is in it before entering the page. And Bree asks why do you guys think Steam is bad for indies?
All right. So about the Steam question, it's mostly because of their recent policies. They used to be the number one place for indies, but now I hate to say it, but Google plays better. It's a lot worse to develop for, but
What about Itch? I think Itch is a good
Itch
place.
is okay. The thing is, not a lot of people buy games on Itch.
Yeah,
It is a
that's.
good play. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I don't buy a lot of the games. Let me specify. I don't like buy a lot of the like free games because how so Itch has a setup. You can publish a free game and then you can set up kind of like a donation kind of thing. You know. Because
Yeah.
I know that there might be people in chat who don't know like what Itch is, so you know I want to like explain that. So
Yeah, the thing about Itch though is it seems like the donation thing would be great, but not a lot of people really donate. And if they do, it's usually an amount that's way less than you would get on Steam if it was back in the day. But the thing is, Steam used to kind of market your game for you, and it used to be a bit harder to get on Steam. So it was kind of like a race where if you were a really good indie, if you had a really good game with a good idea, then Steam would be your number one bet. But now it's a lot more flooded with content and it costs a lot of money to publish to Steam. and they don't do any marketing for you anymore. Matter
Yeah.
of fact, they kind of actively bury your game compared to AAA games.
Yeah,
So,
and unless you get like lucky with the algorithm, I think Steam has an algorithm, right?
yeah, the algorithm is brutal unless you're already a creator who has sold and made Steam a lot of money. So it does come down to you doing your own marketing, but you doing your own marketing costs a lot of money.
Yeah, that
Like a ridiculous amount of money. And Steam used to kind of help you along with that, but now they don't.
that's
And
why
it's just a really flooded market.
that's why you need to like utilize as many platforms as you can, like use Twitter, YouTube, all these different like marketing platforms, and hopefully over time it'll all like smash together. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I mean that is mostly the problem is that marketing for indies is down. We have to
And
find a lot of tricky different ways
and
to get that
I
marketing.
and the problem is games are easier to make than they were back in like the 80s and 90s because of that, because games are the easiest they've ever been to make. There's so many of them.
Yeah, like Greenlight would be better now than it ever was before because you'd really be able to gauge the quality of the games. And I would rather have there be kind of like a different tier system for publishing games. Like if you're a new dev or if you're just doing game jams, you should have something like itch.io or Game Jolt. Then maybe above that, games with quite a bit of quality to them, but I don't know, like $5, $10 maybe, and then maybe Steam. But instead, what we have is just this kind of mishmash where you have a bunch of games on Steam. There's like, I forgot how many games are released on Steam every day. I think it's
Oh
more than
god,
100.
it's a lot.
And it's the same thing with Google Play. More than, I think, 1,000 games are released per day on Google Play.
What's your thoughts on Game Jolt? We've like
Game Jolt's okay.
we briefly talked about it, but we haven't really.
Game Jolt's okay, but the thing is, you can't really put your big commercial project on the same website that hosts Sonic Ball. It's one of those things where Game Jolt's just kind of a different kind of thing. It's
Yeah,
something that's really great for smaller creators and for smaller games, but it's really not going to rake you in a lot of profit
yeah.
because of the perception of games on Game Jolt. It's kind of like Steam is seen as like a Hollywood movie producer. It's not.
Mhm.
It's actually not that much better than Game Jolt, but people see it as like the Hollywood type tier. And Game Jolt is like YouTube, where when you go and you look at a YouTube video, you're really not expecting something like a Hollywood movie, and you're gonna get that. But that's okay. There's definitely a market for that, and there's a reason why that exists. It's just really hard to make money on Game Jolt, and it's really hard to get your game known on Game Jolt because there are a lot of games on Game Jolt, and
Oh
there are a lot of
yeah.
games on Steam, and a lot of games on Google Play. That's one of the biggest problems. We're working on a big uphill battle, a big marketing climb, and we don't have the money to do that, and
Do
it's
you,
really hard
do
to
you
stick out.
do you feel like physical marketing helps, like demoing your game at conventions and stuff? Or
It could. I've never really been to one because I live kind of far away from where anyone would put a game convention. I probably could drive out to DC, but I really haven't done that yet because I haven't put out a game that I feel is big enough to do that. That'll, I mean, the next game, the 3D game, will be. I will be going all out for that, but haven't done it yet, so I can't really say. Um, I know some people have definitely found success with that.
yeah,
Uh,
but
the
it can
developer
be.
of One Step for Eden is an
Oh,
example.
mhm. Yeah, and it can be expensive.
Oh, definitely.
Like I guess
Like,
especially if you demo at PAX, like and it can also be like crowded at those like events. So you really have to do a good job at like standing out, and not just like game design, but like your booth design. You know, you also have to design that well and figure out to like appeal. Because I went to like PAX this year, and like even like the indie mega booth section, that was like crowded.
Yeah, like, it's I mean, I would say if there was one word to describe the current problem with the indie market, it would be crowded. It's just really hard to stand out. There's a lot of people in the industry, especially now. It's a lot easier to get into it. And there are a lot of people who have grown up now thinking that they want to be game devs, whereas that was a lot less common with us.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of finding a way that these people can be seen by the people that want to play their games. I like as a monster guy, I'm always looking for new monster catching games to play, but it's so hard because I don't feel like Steam's search function is good enough for that. itch.io's is a little bit better, but it's still
Yeah.
not great.
And
Uh,
one like personal issue I have with itch, and this doesn't affect discoverability, but itch, why is there not a private messaging system? How
I
hard
can't tell you.
how
I have no
hard
idea.
is it to, now to be fair, to, to be no, I want, but like you should be able to private message devs, right? You would think, like,
Yeah,
because
like I'm
sometimes, because I like to reach out, connect with devs, but sometimes they don't leave their social media or anything, so I have like no way to contact. If like itch had a private messaging system, I could private message them. Like it shouldn't be hard to set up, right? I feel like
it's crazy that they don't.
I
I feel
feel
like every website now has that.
yeah, like those are like a lot of those like free website tools and stuff has like some built-in form or message thing, like, you know, so a lot of times I just have to like leave a comment and stuff, be like, hey, I want you to me your game, and then I feel like a self-promoting douchebag by doing that.
Yeah,
But like there's something else I can do, you know, like itch, get a private messaging system. Like
I know.
it's not. I feel like they have the tools and resources and infrastructure to do it.
Oh, definitely. If you have the if you have the infrastructure to make a website where people can upload video games, I'm pretty sure you can make a DM system.
Yeah, maybe they're just afraid of people spamming and harassing devs and overwhelming devs, but like,
Possibly, like mostly what I do after Resort 2 is look up their Twitter and then DM them on Twitter. But yeah, again, some people just go on Twitter, post their shit, and then leave. So,
or
like,
some devs don't have a Twitter.
yeah, like if they have a Facebook or something, I have no idea how I'm gonna contact them.
Yeah, like,
And God forbid if they have nothing. Like, if it's really just their itch account, then I gotta wonder how does anybody know about their game to begin with? I don't know.
just
Sometimes anomalies just happen.
yeah, the wonders of game dev. So we're gonna wrap up. If there's any last questions, please say.
I think someone asked at some point, like, I can't find it.
uh,
Ask some question to me that I had to skip over.
yeah, there's a lot of
Yep, I don't know. I
but
can't find it.
is there any last comments you want to say about your game, about future?
What was that last part? The last word there got cut off. Uh, do, you still there?
Sorry about that. My mom called me. Well, if
That's all
I'm
good.
doing a podcast, does she not? Okay, but so any last like comments? How can people find you? Anything else you want people to know about?
Yeah, you can find me being an asshole to people at Karatkuro at Twitter. So Twitter Karat.
I also have an layout unless I misspelled it. But
Yeah, so you can find me there, and yeah, not a whole lot to say that we haven't already talked about that I wouldn't go off on a massive tangent for. Basically just thanks for listening to me, and I'll be basically I answer things on Twitter all the time. If you DM me, I'll answer it. If you
yeah, I DM'd him a couple of times, bugging him, annoying him. He answers my questions sometimes.
Yeah, I check that every day, even on days where I don't post. And I post 90% of the time. Matter of fact, I've posted every single day from the time where I first started my account to up until a few weeks ago was the first time I missed a day. So even when I don't post, though, I check. And if you comment on any of my posts, I will see that as well. And there's a lot that I would say about developing the new 3D game. That has also been an experience, but you can mostly just see how that is developing by visiting my Twitter. I'm very vocal there. I
Oh yeah.
say basically everything that happens, even if it's really embarrassing, even if it's something like I spent 5 hours trying to fix a glitch and it turns out I just spelled a word wrong. I will still post about that. So you will know exactly how the game is coming along if you follow that Twitter.
Well, thanks for coming on my show.
Thanks for having me.
And this has been the Nino's Indie Cafe, where we promote and discuss various indie games and try to grow the indie community and make sure games succeed. And we do this Wednesday through Friday at twitch.tv/now here at around 2 p.m. You guys can also find me on Twitter at NanoHero5. So people who are watching the audio version, I hope to like catch you. Come in, talk about your game, promote it. Like, we do allow self promotion of games and other indie projects. Like, we want to like help indies succeed. And I'll see you guys next week.